Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ad Project Podcast. It's been a little while since I've said that.
It's been a whole year,
Yeah.
but it still sounds very natural. It's like you didn't even have a year off.
Yeah. So, as always, I'm the host, Joe Shelerud.
Mm-hmm.
But today we'll be going through, we're relaunching the Ad Project. Maarja and I are going to be working on this together going forward. So, it's not always going to be me kicking it off. I'm excited to get going.
I'm super pumped. We have this whole new space. Look at this. Fancy. We have our logo. We have fancy chairs, all thanks to Morgan, our creative guru, who brought in a nail pinner and a saw and did all of this work herself.
Yep. So a little bit more professional than our previous networking room podcast setup, which still wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but we just leveled up a little bit.
Big step up. Yeah. So going forward for the podcast, we're going to revamp it a little bit. So episodes are still going to be kind of around the 25 minute time frame. But if we have really good interviews, we'll extend them on so that we're not going to stick to that. But we've got a lot to talk about in the retail media space.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have podcasts that go from, starting higher level, really working through the different topics and what's been updated. And we'll do some deep dives. We probably won't get as deep as we previously did on the ad project. We'll have other videos and things that we're posting on social, which will probably be better for that anyway than just listening on the audio side or watching on, the video recording of this. But yeah, we've got a lot to cover.
We do. And you'll also see more people from our team. So part of us setting up this recording podcast setup was we have ops meetings every week, and where account managers are sharing what they're seeing and, talking about new features and updates and how they're using them. And so often, we hear something and we're like, oh, that would be so great to talk about quickly and share on our YouTube or in a podcast format. So hopefully when we hear those cool new ideas, we can quickly just pull them, sit them down, and talk through different use cases, challenges, opportunities, things like that. Yeah. And then in addition, we'll still be bringing people from the space who have unique perspectives and bringing them on the podcast too.
Yeah. And one thing I'm really excited about is you've heard a lot from me before on the podcast, and where I'm getting a lot of this information is from the team itself. So I'm super excited to focus more of the team, more on the team itself, get a lot of unique viewpoints. This space is just blowing up, and it's going to be so big, and there's so many specific details and focus areas. So yeah, it'll be fun having lots of people.
Think of how much has changed since the ad project started. 150, 60 episodes ago.
Yeah.
2020?
Yeah.
Right?
2020 timeframe.
Yeah.
We started recording it. We're like, well, if nobody listens, this will be a great training tool for new account managers coming in. And people listen, which is awesome.
Yeah. And so we took a little year to kind of rethink what it looked like, because so much has changed and evolved, and we're happy to be back.
Yeah. So maybe for this episode, let's start with a recap, a high level on things that have changed since we last recorded podcast over like the last year.
Yeah, that was last May, June. So it's truly been a year.
Yeah.
Since we've shared updates in this way. And I'd say probably the biggest one that you hear over and over is the impact of AMC and Amazon Marketing Cloud. When it comes to Amazon advertising.
Yeah. So we'll be covering this and digging in a lot of detail. So high level, AMC allows you to stitch together data from different data sources. There's a lot of cool ways you can use it, from reporting to creating new audiences to importing other external data and trying to tie it all together. So this has been really fun to see, just the evolution within AMC, usability updates, new piece of information that you can pull, all this good stuff. We've been building a lot of stuff on top of it, and we can talk through how we're utilizing that too. But yeah, it's become a go-to, I wouldn't say requirement yet, but if you're running upper funnel ads, this is a huge tool to use to be able to gauge and measure overall results. Mm-hmm. What should I double down on? So lots of cool stuff, lots of different things that we can cover in upcoming podcasts going forward.
And Amazon ads, I'd say their mantra for the past year has been, like full funnel advertising for everyone. And AMC has been a big part of making that possible. And so like a few big updates that I know we'll go into in more detail are like the 5-year look back.
Sure.
That was something that people heard about last year and now is here.
Yeah.
And they just rolled out audience creation for those 5-year look backs as well. So that's a big update. Also like SQL generator and the console for allowing you to use natural language to describe what you want. So you don't necessarily need to know the development of SQL
Yeah.
to come up with these AMC queries. So those are just two examples of like expanding on AMC and making it more useful and easier for sellers to use.
Yeah, and it's funny when you talk through full funnel. I was just at the Upfronts events, and for those who aren't familiar with Upfronts, it's where they really showcase all the different content. There's a ton of different Upfronts presentations in New York for all the different big content producers, and they're trying to get upfront commitments from advertisers for their advertising. By the end, just saying full funnel, since so many people had said full funnel, became a joke in itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, yeah. And so by the end, then they came out and said full funnel. Like, yeah. I think you had Jason Kelsey initially explaining what full funnel was. Just kind of went through the whole progression. So it's a huge focus for Amazon. And if you look at their model too, and on the advertising side, like sponsored, it's pretty saturated on like Amazon.com and on the app itself. And so their big push is now, how do we utilize all this content that we have? How do we utilize these ad spaces that we have to be able to show this full funnel approach? And what's really cool on these retail media channels is you can see from the top of the funnel. So that branded video ad that shows up on Prime content all the way to the purchase. And so I think retail media as a whole is really well positioned for this continued evolution of people switching to streaming and then digital advertising. So lots to cover there. AMC is a big piece of it. It's not just Amazon that's rolling through these different changes, but they're definitely a leader too. So they give us a good viewpoint on where some of these other channels are going.
Yeah, you mentioned, like sponsored ads or inventory on Amazon.com has been very saturated. And every year we do a placement, we do ad placement versus organic like graphic to show you how much of Amazon.com first page is advertising versus an organic listing. And it really hasn't changed that much over the past 2 years because it has been saturated.
Yeah.
But like last year, we saw the introduction of different ad types like interactive video ads. That was a big thing last summer, last fall that got rolled out. And so that's where you're watching, Prime Video and a streaming ad comes on and you can either take a picture of a QR code, or you can just click learn more and automatically something gets added to your Amazon cart. So that is where the new ad types are going, is evolving upper funnel in the streaming space.
Yeah. And that's really the huge power of Amazon. It's just all these different sources, all the different integrations that they have, being able to pull in different ad campaigns, tied together attribution now. So if you're having links from other sources coming through, you can take full credit for that. And so just having this big full picture viewpoint of your advertising, your performance, it just gives us as marketers more information on what's working well, what we should double down on, what we should cut. It just gives you much more visibility into upper funnel advertising where traditional linear TV just didn't provide that.
And I think, to AMC, full funnel, those are like two of the big keywords I'd say from the past year.
Yeah.
The third one that we saw everywhere at Unboxed and Amazon Accelerate when they announced updates was so focused on AI.
Sure.
And so there were so many rollouts for AI features that you can find in the ad console now, especially like on the creative side of things. That was huge over the past year.
Yeah. That's going to be another fun topic to dig into quite a bit more. It changes it significantly on the targeting side, but especially on the creative side. We're going to see more and more and more AI generated creative. And so with the targeting side, we've had infinite possibilities on how we can target different audiences and make sure we're finding those core audiences that's going to lead to the biggest benefit from our ads. But now on the creative side, you can combine those audiences that you're targeting with a specially designed creative for it. And we're starting to see more and more companies and brands really lean into that. So what was before, say, a multi-month process and, all right, here's my creatives, I'm going to push those out. Now we're going to use standard targeting. It can just be this continual cycle, and we're optimizing creatives just like we're optimizing targeting. And so it's this whole new layer of digital advertising that gives you just infinite possibilities, but also allows you to speak to that individual through both the targeting and the creative.
Yeah, the sophistication of your creative strategy just like skyrocketed, and it's like continuous. It's not a 6-week process, but just constantly. And then, like you mentioned, tailoring the creative to the audience you're speaking to.
Yeah.
I mean, then your targeting is more relevant. It's a better experience for the audience you're targeting. Everything just gets leveled up that way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So we talked about Amazon quite a bit.
Yep.
There's definitely other retail media channels.
Yes.
So what's some other updates that you've seen?
Yeah, so Walmart, of course, comes to mind. Walmart, let's see, brand conquesting was new last year. Used to not be able to go after brand and keywords at all. So that was like a very exciting update for Walmart advertisers to just kind of expand. One, they could do brand defense, but then also do competitor conquesting at the same time. So that obviously opened up another strategy for them. They also introduced dynamic bidding, just kind of aligning more with what's available in the Amazon ad console and the ad center for Walmart. It's another toggle you can do for campaigns. So that was another big update for sure. Also, Walmart acquired Vizio late last year. And so that is very interesting because that is a play to level up their streaming TV inventory and able to offer more upper funnel advertising.
Yeah. It gives them a source to show video ads utilizing their retail data. Just like Amazon's done, they've produced their own content, but they've also launched Fire TV and the Fire Stick and all that good stuff. And so this is a good way for Walmart to get in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was probably one of the bigger updates for Walmart was that acquisition of Vizio. And then they've done a lot of updates to their ad center and reporting and measurement tools that we can go into in more detail. We'll probably do a whole Walmart podcast at some point.
For sure. Yeah, we'll have to cover that in more detail. And it's been really fun watching the Walmart team, and they're moving really quickly. They've got a huge opportunity to leverage both. What gets really cool with Walmart, it's the in-store sales and the digital and bringing those two together. Because when you can combine those two and just with the volume that Walmart does, offers a ton of possibilities. So it's been fun seeing them, and they've been moving quickly.
Yeah, very innovative too. So yeah, lots of updates for Walmart. And then, I mean, if you kind of do a wider view of just retail media in general, I think last year we talked about how there was 100 retail media networks, and I know the most recent was like 250. So like we just continue to see this proliferation of retail media networks, and it's not just retailers too. I mean, it's honestly every other day there's a media network that gets announced. Last week it was Chuck E. Cheese just announced a media network, so they're gonna harness their hundreds of locations across the U.S. and other countries, and all their digital screens and their app and online presence. And I know earlier this year there was a casino that announced a media network. Some like airport retailers, So
I was at a conference, and I was talking to a fitness company. So utilizing their membership data as a not necessarily retail network, but using that data for advertising. Yeah.
So anybody with that first party data is kind of trying to find a way to use it. And so that there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see some consolidation at some point, because as from an advertiser, obviously some niche media networks are going to make sense for you, if it's your audience, but there's so many options. How do you choose where you invest, and then how do you measure it across those different allocations of your budget?
Yeah. If I'm a retailer and I look at my 3% profit margins, like Walmart has, being able to utilize the purchase data and in-store, the advertising side has such a higher margin.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a huge profit driver to get into advertising. So all these different retailers are seeing that. I think the continued issue that we have is just there's no standardized reporting, measurement, how the data flows through, how everything operates. And even with some of the bigger players, it's kind of mind-blowing. We get used to the Amazon and now Walmart platforms and expect that other ones should have somewhat this information, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so a big thing for all these other retailers that are trying to tap into this potential profit that can come from advertising is we need some consolidation in the space. We need to be able to just pull in this information, have it all with standard measurement, and we need more standards in the space. We need a consistent platform that people can go to where at scale we can apply these and lean into these individual channels without having to relearn every new channel. Because at the end of the day, our time and our resources are constrained. And so we can only focus on a specific few. And so if some of these smaller players really want to get into the space, we've got to figure out some way where we can consolidate everything together. So then we could just apply it, set a new campaign in a standardized platform. Now we're getting the same data and we can compare apples to apples between the different channels, utilize a different advertiser data set and run that and compare it to other places. That's where they're going to get budget. So there's still a huge need out there for more consolidation in the space.
Right, because otherwise you can't do anything at scale. And I mean, what was the statistic? I think if you have the retail media pie, Amazon has 75% of that pie. Walmart has 15%, and then those 248 other retail media networks have 10% that they're fighting over.
Yeah. And when it's a small portion of that 10%, as a marketer, it's really hard to justify digging in and learning a new channel and then trying to see how these actually compare and all that good stuff. So to get scale and to grow that sliver of the pie, we need standardization. And at that point, we should see a lot more growth. Yeah. So there's a lot to cover.
There's a lot to cover. Yes. A lot has changed in the past year. And it's all been, especially when you look at Amazon and Walmart, more sophistication in ad types, measuring, reporting. So it's maybe a little trickier to stay up to date. But also with the help of AI, we have tools that are kind of balancing that out a little bit too at the same time.
For sure.
With the sophistication and AI tools that kind of help ease it for the average seller or advertiser.
Yeah. So I guess for format for the podcast, so we're going to be launching this on video too, audio. In terms of time frame, it's not going to be as standard as it was before. We're going to let the topics drive the content versus the schedule drive the content. We
want the conversation to, obviously be valuable and impactful and timely. So, when cool things come up, we'll sit down and record and hopefully have a good conversation. Not hopefully, we will.
We will. And then just keep a lookout too now with the new recording studio and everything. We're going to be looking to put more video content out. So maybe more short form snippets of the podcast or other walkthroughs or different pieces like that too. So lots more to come. So make sure you're following Maarja on LinkedIn along with me and Ad Advance, and follow on your favorite channel.
And we're always open to suggestions too. Like if there's a topic that you think would be interesting, message Joe, message me. And we can dig into it.
Well, sweet. Well, cheers to the upcoming podcast episodes.
It's water.
It's in the morning. We're going with water.
It's hard to drink with microphone, but it was a celebratory cheers. We'll see you next time on
It's
the
really
App
clever.
Project.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.